So in our last lecture we were updating this user Kerry, right, because he's the one that has the ID as 9. All right, now what I actually want us to do is let's add because we can't just change the name and not the email, right? So let's just say comma, right, and then we also set another value, right? We just say full name, all right? No, we already have full name, so this is going to be email, all right? And then we're gonna say email equals, all right? Let's just make sure we don't have, it might work though, but just make sure you don't have your spaces there, right? Take your spaces out if you're doing this with me. So email, we're gonna put this email will be cpauls, right, at virtuallines.com, right? So we get the we're about to update this record here, all right, this scarry. We're about to replace this with cpauls at virtuallines.com, and we're about to change the full name also to Chris Pauls, right? So that's the query, and we gotta close it here, all right? We gotta close it here. We gotta make sure we don't have any mistake like we did on the previous lecture, right? Great. Now what we want to do is run this query, right? I think we already have a function here, but I'll just go ahead and say run underscore query. All right, this could be anything, right? And then we're gonna say same thing, MySQL underscore query, right? And then we're gonna pass in the connection, all right? Connection, because we need to open the connection first before we pass in the query. Right now the query name is going to be query update, all right? So that's what you're going to put here, query update, all right? We close this, and we can just copy our if statement, all right? We can just copy this, and then we're going to pull this here and say, listen, if run query then echo data has been we can change this to updated, all right, updated in your database, and data could not be updated, right? If we get an error, right? Now we're gonna run this and see it should work. I don't know. So we run this. Let's go to our, and then we're still getting this, which means we're still running this, right? We're still running this. So we're gonna take it out. Let's take these out, right? Oops, what I do. All right, let's take these out, and then which other error? Okay, now that is gone. Now we could not update data, all right? It says the query could not pass, all right? Now the query couldn't pass because something is happening here. All right, we're closing our connection, all right? We're closing our connection right after we open, right after we call the database, right? So we gotta take this out of here. So if you had this there, it's not gonna work, right? You need to take your connection, the close connection, and then you need to put it. So basically the close connection goes below, or is the last thing that you have to call, right? Is the last function that you have to call. Now let's see. So we have data has been updated in your database. So if we get in here and we refresh this, we're gonna see the changes. Yeah, I expected to see this, all right, because we run this twice, right? Anyway, we get the one that the ID is 9, right? That is what we changed, all right? So we changed it to Chris Pauls, all right? Yeah, the name to Chris Pauls, and then we get in the email here, right? So we have successfully updated data, right? Now what's next on our list? We through with this, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it out, so you know that we've done that. Now we're gonna go to select or fetching, right? How about I make this select and fraction is almost the same. Let me make this delete. All right, delete. So we're gonna be selecting and deleting data, right? So over here, the select function, oops, I want to go below this. All right, we're gonna cancel this out. Let's just take this out because we don't want to run this again, right? All right, so below this here, we're gonna run our select query, right? You can select one, right? You can select based on an ID, so you can select one record, and you can also select all right? So if you want to select, let's just create a query. Let's call this query select, right? Query select, and then we just use our select. Again, if you get stuck somewhere, just go to PHP, all right, and then look for the go to MySQL and look for the select. You see, this is the select, all right, and you can find your way out. All right, so basically we're going to use the column name. All right, we select the column name from the table, right? So we are selecting, let's start with a select all, all right, then we say from, all right, because our database has a lot of tables, so we have to specify the table that we want to select from. So select all from users. Now if we end this like this, is going to work. All right, we end this and then we say select all from users. All right, we got to put this in a quote. All right, select all from users, and then we end it. It's going to return. If we run this query, I just go $_run query equals, all right, and we're gonna pass in let me just copy this, all right. We're gonna pass in we're gonna call our query function, we're passing our connection, all right, and then we have to replace this with this one here, all right, because this is the query that we're sending in now, all right. And all right, we have our connection down here. We don't want to make that mistake again. Now if we find something, all right, if we find something, let's just echo how about we echo the result, right? Let's just echo the result that we find. All right, now to do that, we need to fetch it. We need to fetch this result. All right, we need to say something like MySQLi, all right, I missed the S, MySQLi fetch, right, underscore array, all right. So this is a function that is probably going to return the result of the query of the select all query, all right, it's going to return it. So we have to probably create a variable to hold the result, right? So we can say result equals, then we call a function, and then we pass in the query that we run, all right. And this also can take another parameter, all right. This can take another parameter which basically you specify in which array that you want it to be. Is it associative array or indexed array, all right. So if we want the result to come back in the form of an indexed array, all right, we're going to say MySQL SQL, right, then underscore, and over here we're gonna say index, right? We're gonna say index. Sorry, I should say num, because the index, they have got the numbers right on them, right? So num. Now if we write this excuse me, all right, and we write an if statement, all right, to check the result. So here we can do something like this. We can say if, all right, so we're saying if the result has the index form of the result of the query that comes in, all right, then we can echo something like this. We can echo result, all right. And remember, this is an array now, so we're gonna use the square brace, all right. And now we need to call the indexed, right, because we're using the index form, right. So we can say 0, all right. Let's see what we get if we run this query, all right. So I'll save this and I'll go to the browser and I get 7, all right. Now let's look at the database. So this is our database, and here we can see that we're getting the first value 7, all right. So this is the 0 index of the first value, all right. So if I get in and I change this to, let's say 3, all right, I hope I'll get something. Then I go to a browser, all right. Then I get Kobe Bryant, right. So Kobe Bryant is the third indexed number in this database, all right. What if I change this to associate, right? ASSOC, right? Which means we are getting this in a form of an associative array, right? So we cannot put 3 here, but we can now call the name. Check this out. We can now call the names of the columns. I think I did something like this, right? I showed you something like this. I said these will now be the names of what, of the key values, all right. So we will just go and then let's say full name, all right. We'll just go to our browser and say we gotta put a quote here and say full name, all right. So you can see how we are accessing the data, right. We're selecting the data from the database using our associations, right. Now if we go here, we get on full name. Sorry, this is not how it is, all right. There should be an underscore here, and then we get in Kobe Bryant, all right. So you can see we are accessing the information in the database, right, with our associative arrays, right. So this is how to select, right. If you want everything, all right, if you want to select everything, you're gonna probably use you're gonna have to loop through, right. Remember I explained that to you, all right, because now we are just selecting one values, right. But if you want everything, then we're gonna be using a loop, all right, because now we selected, if you say ID is going to select only ID, all right, but we want it to loop through this, then come to this way, all right, go to the next, then get it, then come back and go to the next, then get it and come back. So you see how the loop works. And so if we loop through it, we'll be able to pull out all the data, right. But right now we're not looping through it. That is why we're getting the single data, right. So that is how to fetch data or select data from the database. What else we gotta do? I think we need to delete. Yeah, let's do the delete. Let's write a statement, all right. So we're gonna say query delete to delete a user, all right, a single user. We're not deleting all, all right. So here we're gonna say delete, and then we call the name of the table, all right. So we say delete from, all right, because we need to specify which table. So delete from users. Now if I run this, I'm going to delete everything inside our database, all right. If I run this, I'm going to delete everything here, but we want to delete this one, all right, because we have duplicates here, right. So we want to delete them, all right. So we're gonna say where, we have to use the where clause, right. Where ID, gotta be small, where ID equals which IDs are they using? It's 12 and 13, right. So where ID equals 12, right. So we're gonna pass the query in, and then here we're gonna say the next, the query, the statement or the variable that contains the query is the delete query, right. We don't want the result, we just want to go ahead and run our query, right. So we're gonna say if run query, right, if run query over here, if run query, if you run the query and you successfully delete the user, then we'll probably echo something like user successfully, right, deleted, right. we've put our question mark here now. So else we get an error that says data could not be updated, right? So let's run this and see how it's supposed to work. All right, so we save this first. Let's look at the browser and see if we're getting an error. So we get user successfully deleted. Now let's go and refresh and see what happened. All right, so number 12 is deleted, right? All right, now let's try and delete 13. All we have to do is change the ID from 12 to 13, and then we save. We go to our browser and we check. All right, successfully deleted. Now when we refresh, we get it deleted, right? So everything is working. We have experimented with our update function, with our insert function, our delete function, and our select, update, delete. All right, so I think we're good to move on to the next topic. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next lecture.